Hello everybody, it's Angela with Word and Home. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's had a great week. Come on in and let's spend a little bit of time together. If you are catching the replay, then you won't see the red light button up here, but that's okay. Just put hashtag replay in the comments and then let me know that you watched and ask any questions that you have. You can just drop those in the comments. And of course, if you're on the live right now, just make sure you say hello. Tell me where you're watching from or something good about your day or your week. We have officially made it to Friday. I don't know about you guys, but here in Oklahoma, it definitely feels like summer. The humidity has been terrible and it is warm out there. Hi, Rhea. Hey guys, I see lots of friends hopping on. Sorry, my camera is, I think my dog is under the table. I think she bumped the cord going to my phone. I hope everybody's had a great week. I am excited for the weekend. And today we're going to do a little recycled project. I shared a picture earlier of these little cans. I've taken the labels off now, but these were tomato paste cans from Aldi, I believe, but just little tomato paste cans, and we're going to be using these for our project today. You keep thinking today is Saturday. I hate that when that happens, Rhea. That happens to me during the week a lot where, like, I don't know, like if it's Thursday, a lot of times I'll still think it's Wednesday. I lose time for some reason. It drives me crazy. But tomorrow's Saturday, so you get an extra day. Okay, so I'm just going to, I know there's still people hopping on, but I'm going to go ahead and jump in with this. I see quite a few of some new names. So if you're new with us, make sure that you say hello, because we always like to welcome our new people. So make sure you let us know and say hello. I am looking at this because sometimes I just have a regular can opener, and sometimes, always when I use cans like this, if there's like ever a sharp edge, and you know, there usually is, unless you have that special can opener, I always try to take like a little dab of hot glue and just put on those kind of sharp, any edges that could be sharp. And in all actuality, you could probably just run it all the way around the rim just to prevent yourself from being cut. I don't think that I'll be, you know, really messing with these this much on today's project, but, you know, just to always be safe. And then when you put your little dab of hot glue on, like whatever that little sharp corner could be, that hot glue is going to protect that and give you a little bit of protection. So I was just looking at that and I thought, I need to do that because I didn't do that earlier. Okay, and it doesn't take it long to set up. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Sue. I hope everybody's having a great day. Oh, Rhea, I'm sorry. Hopefully, I'll have some more of those. I'm just going through all of my stuff. I have so many, and if you're new, you may not know, but we do wood kits. We have a Shopify store. And so I have extra pieces a lot for whatever reason. And sometimes when I'm trying to put new kits together, I'll cut things and maybe they'll be bigger or smaller than what I, you know, decide to go with. So I always have extra pieces. And so I've been going through my stash and I have sold a lot of those just so that somebody else can get some use out of those. So Rhea, just keep your eye out because I might have some more. Okay, so I have my hot glue on here. It's set up. We're using 3 of these cans. And these little cans are perfect because these are going to be red, white, and blue. They're going to look like firecrackers. This one still has a little bit of glue on it. And they're already sectioned for me how I want to do these. Because this middle section where you see the little ridges, that's going to be white. And then red on top, blue on the bottom. So they're already, hi Angie. Hi Kathy, happy weekend. They're already perfect for this project. So the first thing we're going to do is paint the white on here. And this is a really simple project. And this will be something fun to do with your friends or even your kiddos. But I want to crackle these. So what we're going to do, and I forgot to bring any water in here. Let me go grab my little thing of water. It's just right in here. I promise. It won't take me just a second to grab it. Okay. So I have my paintbrushes with my water here. The first thing we're going to do, I'm just using white glue. Hi, Sharon. I'm glad you caught me live, Angie. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for sprinkling, Rhea. Just good old white glue, okay? And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get my glue out and I'm going to get my white paint ready because I want to put my glue on here or put my paint on top of that glue. And I think it'll just be better if I just do sections at a time. So we're going to do that middle section first. And I think this is going to be a really fun one. We've already made firecrackers once, but I thought it would be fun to make them again. Thanks, Angie, for sprinkling. You guys are awesome. Okay, let's get this. And I always want to have water here, especially when I'm out of breath just from running. And I'm not in bad shape. Why did that put me out of breath? Just running really quickly to the kitchen to grab that. I always like to have water on hand when I'm using the glue or the Mod Podge in my brushes because it dries so quickly on them and I don't want to ruin my brushes. So I'm just kind of dotting my glue all the way around my can to start. Okay, see all that glue on there? And my paintbrush is kind of wet, and I think it's, personally, I like to start with a damp paintbrush for this part. Just kind of, it helps kind of smooth that glue a little bit better. And I'm just brushing all this out because we want a nice smooth layer. Okay, we get nice coverage. Okay, got all that on there. Sue, thanks for sprinkling. Now, while that's still dry, I am going to grab my paint here, and I already put some out, and I'm just going to, I try not to really, if I feel like to get good crackle, you need to go one way and not just go back and forth like I just was doing, because I'm always so tempted to do that. So try to brush it one way if possible. I think you get better crackle, okay? But doing something like this can, it's kind of hard to do that. Okay. And I want to get a really good coat of my paint on here. Now this is not like a stark white. So you just use whatever color you want. You can use acrylic paints. You can use chalk paints, whatever your favorite paint is. Okay. Just trying to decide here. And I'm hoping this will work on metal. I'm not sure that I've ever crackled on metal before. Just trying to smooth out these edges here. My son is upstairs and I can hear him, so I hope he doesn't get, hope you guys can't, if he doesn't get too loud. Okay, so that's what we've got, okay? Hi, Diane. So we have our paint on there. I'm sorry if I have missed. Oh, you had to turn your notifications on again. I know, those darn, I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the water. Even though I'm gonna be using it again, I have my ceiling fan on and I don't want that to dry, that glue to dry in there. Okay, so I have that on there. Those darned Facebook notifications, that just, it drives me bananas. I hate that you guys have to, and I have to do it too, keep going back, you know, and checking and making sure everything is, that your people are still there that you want to follow. Okay, I'm going to add some heat to this and we're going to see if it crackles. I hope it does. I've got the crackle on wood down pat, but I don't know about metal. You've never crackled metal either? Well, here we go. We're going to find out. Yes, Angie, I added the paint right on that wet glue. It needs to be added while the glue is still wet. I see some crackle. I don't know how good it's going to be, but I see some crackle. And obviously, you have to be careful because the metal gets hot. So, and I probably should have put a solid color down before, because that's usually how you do crackle. I just didn't think about it with this white paint, so we'll see. We have to do another layer of paint and glue. We can do that too. It's just always kind of cool to see how stuff turns out. Okay, so there's a decent crackle. Oh, can you guys see that? There's a decent crackle on there. But I think probably what would work, yeah, you do the same process on the wood. It's crackling only done once or twice, not bad. You've never crackled before. I think this would have been better, and we're going to add another coat to it. If I would have put a coat of the white on top and let it dry, or on the bottom and let it dry, and then if I would have added a second coat of, add the glue and then add a second coat of white on top of it, I think that would have been better, because you see, you can still, because it crackled, you can see the silver of the can popping through. So we're going to add another coat, some more white on there, and then we're going to try the crackle again. I'm sorry, I didn't do a very good job explaining that. I think it would have been better if I would have put a coat initially of the white paint on and let that dry. And then we could have done the crackle process, I think is what I'm trying to say. Okay, but this time we're just going to put the coat of paint on. Okay. And we're going to dry it because I don't want to see my can through here. I don't want to see that silver. So let's try this. Okay. So I've got my coat. Now I'm gonna dry that. I don't think it'll take too long. I've gotten to where I love the crackle, you guys. And if you followed me very long, I've done quite a few crackle projects, and I really like them. So I would just, if I were you and you're going to do this, I would just take my cans, paint my white around the center, and set them and let them dry for an hour. And then you can do your crackle, try your crackle. I think that'll work better. Or if you had another base color that you wanted to show through, you could paint it that. Okay. So I've got my white on there. Let's try the crackle again. Now, we're going to put we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put another layer of glue down. Okay. And I feel like the heavier your glue is, the more crackle you often get, and the bigger crackle, you get the bigger cracks. So I'm going to be pretty liberal with my glue on this. Okay. Once again, I've got that on there. Then I've got my damp brush, and I'm just going to brush this on. And if you get some glue out of the line, it's fine. We're going to do different colors. And we might just crackle this middle. I don't know. Okay, got my glue on there. Now, I'm just going to go directly to the paint, and I'm just going to try to add my paint on here in that one direction. Just try to smooth it out the best you can. It's hard. It's hard to get it perfectly smooth, but I think if you just do the best you can, it'll be good. Okay. Now, there's another layer. Let's try it again. See if I'm happier with this one. I hope everybody's had a good week. Thanks for jumping on with me. This is the best part of my week, is getting to hop on a craft with you guys. It takes a minute. I feel like the crackle shows up a little bit slower on this metal project than it does the wood project. But I can see it. If you don't want to dry it, typically your crackle will show up if you just set your project aside and let it dry naturally. I'm just always super impatient, and so I always add heat. Okay, let's see what we've got. I have some crackle. It looks different. There's a little bit of crackle on there. It's got a little bit of a different look to it than crackle that I've done in the past. I feel like with this, it's going to show up over time. It's starting to dry down a little bit better, but it just kind of has a rough look to it right now. If you guys can see, it's always a good. Yes, Angie, always when you open your eyes in the morning, it's always a good day. So I think I'm just going to let this sit, okay? And we will go ahead and add our red to the top and then our blue to the bottom, and we'll see if it, as it dries down even more, if it gets a better crackle. So do you think, you guys tell me, should we try to crackle with the red and the blue as well? What do y'all think? Or should we just try to crackle the middle? I'm kind of tempted to crackle it all. You see it, Elizabeth? Yep, Dana. Yep, I've never used the crackle medium. I just never have. I need to try it. Oh, that's a good idea on tuna cans. And I have tuna cans, but I just never think to save those. I've seen some cute little snowmen made from tuna cans too, just FYI. If you save those anyway, save some for Christmas, because I've seen some cute ones on, it was probably Pinterest where I saw them. Okay. So I have the red here, and we're going to paint a layer. Let's just go ahead and paint our layer of red. We'll try the crackle on this too, and we'll see how it looks. And I'm not going to make that same mistake that I did with the white. I'm going to put my layer of red on first, and we're going to let that dry. And then we'll do the crackle on top of that. Let's get this top of the can. If you can kind of twist your can while you're holding it, that helps too. Okay. Okay, so let's dry that down. And then add another coat. Our red looks pink. Looks pink right now. Dana says crackle everything. Okay. We'll give it all a good crackle. We'll give it all a good crackle. Oh, you know what? I just did this backward. Because we're going to turn these upside down, so this should be red. Good grief. It's okay. I think I can fix it. Okay. So, this bottom will need to be blue. So, let's do this. Because I want this on the top, because we've got to put... we have to put a fuse on there because it's going to be a firework. I think I did something like this similar the last time we were live. I just get so sidetracked and I don't pay attention. Okay. Luckily, it's an easy fix. Okay. Let's try this. Use green. Can make the Italian flag. That's right, Angie. I want to paint the top red too, so. Somebody just hopping on is going to think, what is she doing? Chalk paint might give you a little bit better coverage on this. I mean, this acrylic paint will work. We've talked about that before. Chalk paint is just, you just can't beat the coverage of it. I just need basic coverage on this part because I want to put the glue on there. And, you know, to get that really pretty crackle effect, I don't want to see the silver popping out. But just depending on what kind of paint you use, it's kind of persnickety. And if you just hopped on late, these are tomato paste cans from Aldi, but you can get this size can from Walmart or wherever. The tomato paste always comes in little smaller cans like this. At least in where I shop it is. Okay. One more coat of paint on here. You could use spray paint on these too, you guys. You wouldn't obviously be able to do the crackle effect, but if you didn't want to paint with acrylic or whatever, you could just tape it off. Use some painter's tape and use some spray paint. That would be a quick way, you know, to get this look. Okay. I think we're on the right track now. Okay. So I have good coverage on that top. Let's dry it, and then we'll do our glue. I'm going to glue the top, and I'm going to crackle the top of it and everything. And we'll see how that turns out. Okay. Now, sorry, I scared my dog. She's a little jumpy. I don't know why she's so jumpy lately. I can't even hardly run the vacuum, and she is not a fan. Okay, so let's just take, I like to just, for this, especially because it's round, I like to just squeeze my glue out of here like this on here. And then brush it. You know, brush it around there to smooth it out. I got a little bit heavy-handed, so I'll just put some of that on the top up here. You could use any size cans, even if you had the bigger, larger cans. Those would be cute too. You can make bigger firecrackers. These are going to be for my tiered tray, so that's why I'm using smaller cans. Okay, and then we're just going to go directly back over the wet glue with another coat of our paint. Again, just trying to smooth it out the best that you can. And then we're going to do the top going in a circle. Just do the best you can with stain. It's really hard to just stay in one direction. Okay, so we've got our red paint on there. Let's see how this crackle looks. Don't get your heat tool. This one gets really hot, this Wagner. If you have one, you know what I'm saying. You don't want your paint to bubble up, so if you're using a blow dryer, it may not get as hot, but this tool gets really hot. Thanks, Sue. Sometimes I like to recycle my stuff. I'm not always good about doing it, but I really do like to recycle. And sometimes I think about it, and sometimes I don't. And when we're done with it, we might add a little bit of that wax to it just to kind of settle in that crackle, and that really shows off your crackle. Really makes it really pretty. I'm not seeing the crackle as well on the red as I did the white. So I don't really, I'm looking on here to see if I can find any crackle. I don't really see much on the red. Okay, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and do our blue on the bottom where it was supposed to be blue. And while we're working, that'll dry down some more, and we'll just see what we've got. Okay, I'm using, this is called Awards Blue. So sometimes I use like a navy, and today I decided just to use just a little bit different shade, a little bit brighter. You can see kind of how bright that blue is. I don't know, I just wanted to try something different today. So we're gonna try that. And that Awards Blue is from Walmart. That's an Apple Barrel brand. Okay, so we're just going to cover up my boo-boo that I made with the red earlier. Okay, so there's that. Let's dry that down, and then we'll add another coat to it. It doesn't look like much right now, but I feel like it's gonna be good when we get finished with it. So y'all hang with me. Hang with me. Let's see, I have a better brush with more of a straighter edge on it. We're gonna try to clean up these edges a little bit right here. I was a little sloppy. With some of these. And I may have to clean that up a little bit on my white, because I kind of got a little bit over the line. Okay, try that. And then we'll try our crackle on it and see how it goes. I can see a little bit of crackle on that white. So there's our red, white, and our blue. Now we'll try a little bit of some of our Elmers on here. Maybe I didn't put enough on the red, I'm not sure. Okay. We'll leave this one maybe a little bit thicker. Okay. Now, let's add our coat. Another coat of blue on top. Try to stay in my lines. Sorry, I'm being so quiet. I am just really concentrating. And you guys are maybe asking questions. Okay. Okay, I got a pretty thick coat on there. So, fingers crossed, let's see. Let's see how that goes. My dog is right under my feet. So I don't know something's got her in here under my feet. I'm not sure what it is. This is pretty thick, so let's see how fast it dries. I try not to get blue all over my can, but I do have blue on my fingers. See a little bit of crackle. And it is, when you don't use a different color underneath as your base, you know, it's going to be harder to see your crackle, so. But I think I'm getting a little bit better crackle out of the blue. We'll see. Not completely dry, but I'm trying to see if I have an area with any good crackle. You can see a little bit of crackle right there. It's kind of thick, and I'm thinking as it dries down, it might be better. Okay, so I'm going to touch up my white a little bit, and then we're going to move on to the next part. I just kind of made a mess with some of my red and blue. I kind of got it onto the white a little bit, so I'm just going to take a straight edge paintbrush and clean that up a little bit. The best that I can. Okay, there's that. Let's do the bottom. I really got out of whack on with my blue. So that's what we have so far. I think I want to add some wax to it. I hadn't thought about that initially, but I think that may give us a little bit better, and more of a desired look, okay? So I'm going to dry this down just a little bit more, and then we'll add our wax. So if there is any crackle, that wax will really settle in there, and it's going to show that crackle off. You can use any kind of wax that you want. I have, you know, the bear wax. That's what I'll be using. But if you can't find this, because I've heard that they're not making this anymore, then you can just do the Waverly Antique and Wax. It will work well. Or just any kind of wax that you've got. I really like this one. Get a paper towel. And let's just see. And I don't want it to be too heavy, so I'm going to try to start off with kind of like a light. light layer, but try to see if I have any crackle on that red. And I just don't see a lot. Okay, let's look down here on our blue. I have some rough spots, but I really think that the only place that I got some good crackle was on this white. I'm gonna take a little bit more of this off of the white. Okay, and you can see some of the crackle here a little bit better. You can see where that that wax kind of settled in those. Okay, if anybody has any tips for which I know Dana said the crackling medium, that's always supposed to be a great winner. I've not ever used it, but Dana swears by it, and I know other people do too. But if anybody else has any tips for crackling on metal, throw them out there. I always love to hear those or see those ideas. Okay, so there we've got our little, I don't know, I'm calling it a mini firecracker. So I have 3, but I'm not going to do all 3 of them. I'll probably just do 1 because this one's taken me a little bit longer than I thought. But we have it painted, and I want to put a fuse on top. So I have some, I'm pretty sure this came from Dollar Tree. Okay, I had a lot more of it than this, but this is what I have left. And this end is already kind of frayed a little bit. So I think I'm going to try to cut this and see if I can keep it from fraying out. I'll put some hot glue on the bottom of it. Because I do have that going. And then I'm just going to kind of stick that on the top here for our little fuse. Okay, so that might be a little bit long, I feel like. When this glue dries, I'll trim some of that off the top. Okay, but we have our little fuse. Okay, and we'll trim that up. And then we're going to put something around the middle of it. How about putting Mod Podge on the entire camp? Yeah, maybe. You mean Mod Podge before you paint it, Angie? To help the paint adhere a little bit better? Is that what you're saying? Because that would, I feel like that might work. And I'm going to trim this off a little bit because I just feel like that's a little too much. And then just kind of add a little bit of glue on there and kind of twist it around so it doesn't come completely unraveled. Then you can just kind of pull your pieces apart if you want to, for like a little fuse, like that. Yes, I know it's fun. Oh, okay, Angie, you're right. They do that. They do that with glass, and you know that probably would be a good idea on metal too. I think you're onto something right there. Okay, so that's our little mini firecracker. It's got a little fuse on there. I took my jute and rolled it in Mod Podge and let it dry. Okay, to make Sue, to make little fuses. I think if you just put put your little drops of hot glue on there too, that'll kind of help it hold it in place. I just kind of want it to, you know how when you look at a fuse, it's kind of, you know, you want it to look a little bit frayed on the end, okay? So there's that. Now, I made some little tags because I want to put a little tag around it. And I have some of this paper, and this is the Paper Studio, and it's the smaller sheets that are 59 cents from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so this is Patriotic Colors, and if you notice, this is why I picked the color of blue I did, because it matches the paper. Okay, so it's got those same colors in it. Okay, Angie, thanks for hanging out with us. Be sure to watch the rest of the replay, friend. Have a good weekend. Thank you, Diane. Thanks, Sharon. So I've got this paper, and then I picked this one up as well at Hobby Lobby because I want to cut the words out and the flags for tags. And this one was 59 cents as well, and it is Paper Studio. Okay, and I thought they coordinated pretty well together. So I took those, and then I took just some of those. I just shared a reel on how I tea stain my tags. I took one of those tea stain tags and I tore it, and I just put some paper on it and cut that word freedom out and made a little tag. Super duper simple. Okay, hairspray will stiffen the jute and help it. Okay, that's good to know. Hairspray is great for a lot of things, isn't it? I've heard does anybody remember wearing pantyhose? I mean, I remember when I was young, back in the 80s, pantyhose were, I'm going to get a pretty long piece of just jute string here. You know, pantyhose used to be the thing. And I hated them. I hated pantyhose. It was honestly one thing that I was not sad to see go. I'm just going to start wrapping this I'm going to wrap this around here. I hated pantyhose. But all that to say, I remember when you would get a run in your pantyhose, I'm just going to put a little bit of hot glue here, that people would say you could, I think it was hairspray, and also you could use like a dab of like clear nail polish to keep the run from spreading. Does anybody else remember that? Okay, and then I'm just going to wrap this jute around here. All of it kind of catching in that hot glue that's on the back. But yeah, I hated pantyhose. I don't know why. I just didn't. They were always hot and uncomfortable. And I always felt sorry for the ladies, the women that were older than me, you know, that had to wear them to work and stuff. They wore them with their dresses. I just always remember thinking, I don't ever want to have to wear a dress, you know, to work, because I don't want to have to wear pantyhose. Clear nail polish is what you used. Yeah, pantyhose were great. I know, they were awful. Now we just use fake tan, right? I mean, now we just, if you're worried, you know, that your legs don't look perfect, or, you know, we just use fake tanner on them. Okay. So I just wound a little bit of that around there. Yep, Angie, you remember those days? I remember. Yeah, the clear nail polish. Okay, and then we're just going to take another little string, and I just punched, I have a little tiny hole in there with my hole punch, and I'm just going to kind of attach this underneath here. You could probably, I probably could have done this differently, but why do things the easy way, right? Just, I never do. thought I could just poke this back up underneath here to tie it. Okay. Trying to see where the back is and where this. There's a seam on the can, and so that's going to be the back. And then I'm going to tie this on the front. Okay. I'm just gonna kind of hang down and say freedom. I think that is so cute. Super easy. These little tags are super duper easy to make. If you didn't watch the reel where I showed how to do these, go back and watch it. I reshared it yesterday. Such an easy, it's so easy, and I just love making my little craft paper tags. I really do enjoy these. And they have a primitive. I'm not super primitive, but I don't mean, when I say that, I mean I don't necessarily love primitive, but I don't hate it. But I do love these little tags. Okay, that turned out pretty cute. Okay, so then you have your little firework, and it's pretty simple. I'm going to, hi Karen, thank you. I'm going to do 3 of these because I have 3 cans, okay, but I'm not going to hold you guys again because I'm going to do the same process on this. Now, because I added, and then of course, you know, it's just empty on the inside, but because I added that wax, I think it really darkened it up, and I like it. I think I'll add more wax up here too and darken it up even more. But I think that it turned out pretty cute. Thanks, Sue. Thank you, guys. And so then we'll just group them together. And you know, if you wanted to stagger, because these are all 3 the same size, right? So, but if you wanted to stagger and you could find a can that was taller than this, thank you, Sharon, you could stagger your heights. I wanted a skinnier can like this, and I don't know what can you could get that would be skinny like this but taller. I don't know. Thank you, Yvonne. Thanks, Sharon. If you guys think of skinnier cans, metal cans that are taller, thanks, Dawn. Let us know. Drop it in the comments, because it would be cute if you staggered them in height. I'm just going to do all 3 of mine the same size, and I have a little tiered tray in my kitchen, and I'm just going to kind of randomly stick them in that so they won't be together. Ooh, Kathy said an asparagus can. Oh yeah, you bake them in the oven, Dana. That's cool. You spritz them with coffee. And I have put the coffee in a spray bottle before and sprayed it that way too. Hi Kimberly, it was a tomato paste can, and these are from Aldi. I bought the tomato paste at Aldi, but you can get tomato paste at Walmart, and it's in the same kind of slim little small can. Thanks, Rhea. I love making firecrackers. We'll make them out of anything. So asparagus can is a good idea. You guys keep giving us ideas if you can think about different size cans. What about a can with the stripe? That would be cute, Ginger. Yeah. And then they would offset each other. That would be really cute. Kimberly said asparagus too. Apparently, I've never bought canned asparagus. So now I'm going to have to check it out, because they would be cute staggered. But yeah, super duper simple. You can use whatever, you know, whatever paint colors are your favorite, whatever, you know, whatever shade of blue or red or whatever. Thank you, Sue. Thanks for hanging out with me, you guys. If you enjoyed, do me a huge favor and sprinkle out this video. This asparagus can are great for these. Okay, Kimberly, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to have to buy some canned asparagus. I'll update you guys and let you know if I find it, and we'll have to eat asparagus one night, and then I'll have to make another one of these out of that can. Okay, I'm gonna hop off of here. You guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for the ideas. You guys help me a lot because you give me a lot of great ideas and a lot of great tips too. So I love spending time with you. Okay, guys, I'm gonna hop off here. Thank you, Ginger, for sprinkling, and I will see you guys again soon. Have a great weekend and stay safe, friends.